that just made my whole day. Like, if my neighbors are going to be loud and listen to music, I can get into some music that I like, so I'm cool with that. Okay, so, oh my god, we're gonna have background noise today, y'all. I love it. So, today, we are going to be working on a case that is in Nebraska. So we're finally done with the M's. I felt like I was never gonna get done with that. And by the way, I'm going to be like dripping sweat by the end of this. My house out back, they found Mrs. Bartlett. Velda was her name, and then her husband's name was Marion, and they found his body as well. So they had the 2-year-old that was found in the box. They had the wife that was found wrapped up and stuffed in the toilet, and then they had the husband that was also wrapped up outside. As they are questioning the brother of Charles Starkweather, they then kind of realized something wasn't right, because Caril Ann and Charles Starkweather were gone. So were they in danger? Were they okay? Were they the ones that did it? Like, what was going on? His brother also then informed them that he loaned his 22 caliber gun to his brother about a week prior to this incident, and the gun's missing. It's not in the home. So they then put an APB out on the car and for Caril Ann and Charles Starkweather, because they're starting to get suspicious that they could possibly be involved. The cause of death for the family was Marion and Velda, the parents, were shot, and then the 2-year-old little girl was blunt force trauma to the head, and her neck was cut. So they put this APB out on the car, and the next day, they actually find the car. This car is like, basically, and they find the car across from a farmhouse. This farmhouse belonged to August Meyer, and they could obviously see that his car was stuck. It was not getting out anytime soon. So they get back up and they surround the farmhouse in hopes that Charles is there. The place is clear. They are nowhere around. However, they do go around back and find the body of August Meyer covered up. He was also shot with a 22 and deceased. So at this point, they're pretty certain it is Charles and Caril Ann together. But where they're at, nobody has any idea at all. But they were able to tell that the vehicle of August Meyer was gone. So I'm assuming that's why they killed him, was for a car. So after he was deceased, that made the first victim. The first victim was Robert Culvert. The second was Velda Bartlett. The third was Marion Bartlett. The fourth was Betty Jean Bartlett. The fifth was August Meyer. And that night that they found August Meyer's body, there was 2 teenagers that had actually went out on a date. Their names were Bob Jensen, and Carol King. I am so horrible, you guys. Don't get mad at me, but I forgot a piece. I just now realized that on my notes, I've got where they went missing, and then I got that they were found in a cellar, and they were both shot to death. However, you would have thought I would have put in there how they found them in the cellar. I'm not sure if they got a call or if Now, when her family died, she claimed that she was at school and he was not there. So she had no part in it. However, when the man passed them and he was fighting with the other man with the gun, and Carol Ann made the comment, "I have seen him kill 10 people. He's kidnapped me." She basically just told on herself that she was there when her family was murdered. And things just didn't work out the way that anybody really expected, I don't think. She did get sentenced to life in prison. However, she was paroled after 18 years, and to this day, she is free. And I have not been able to find a solid update on her currently standing. So I'm not entirely sure what she's up to these days, but hopefully I'll be able to get some pictures out here for you guys to be able to see them. So I love you guys. You guys are amazing, and thank you for everything that you guys do. You guys make me smile so much, and it melts my little heart. So